What new show, new background, new mic, Frank the Ficus. What's going on, Kim?
Hey, Zach, how are you?
Kind of frustrated today. I checked the 5 day forecast and it's nothing but rain. So I spent like the last hour before the show researching how much it would cost to fly to Australia for a week.
Australia? That's crazy.
Australia.
Talk
So
about
how are you doing?
halfway around the world.
Yeah, for sure. How's everything
So,
on your end?
yeah, I'm good. It's, Wednesday, it's midweek, hump day. So I'm ready to get the show started tonight. I just figured we would introduce ourselves and welcome everybody to our first show ever with Money Hungry. So welcome everybody who is joining us right now. And I thought we would actually introduce ourselves just in case somebody is watching us for the very first time. So I'll say age before beauty. Oh, wait, I think I kind of have you on both of those. So how about I go first and just talk? Just
Since you put
kidding.
it like that,
Just kidding. So I'll introduce myself. Hi, I'm Kim. I am also known as Kim from Kim's Side Money Plans on YouTube. I've been doing YouTube now for almost 3 years. I can't believe it's been almost 3 years. I am a full-time gig worker since 2020, but I've been doing gig apps since 2018. I have probably close to 15,000 deliveries between all of my apps underneath my belt. I'm a mom, and here we are today, and I'm also a contributor on the RideShare Guy. So that's me. How about you, Zach?
yeah. So I'm Zach. I have a channel called Zach Drives Fast. I've been on YouTube for just over a year now. I've been a gig worker for about 3 years. I'm a multi-apper and a full-time single parent. So YouTube, content creation, driving, it leads to a very hectic and busy life.
It can be very hectic and busy. So we have
It
a
can.
jam-packed show today. We have tons to cover. I'm excited about a lot of the articles and a lot of the subjects that we have. So if you're ready, let's get right into the show.
Let's do it.
So the first segment is called Pennies to Prosperity. And the very first article we have tonight actually is an Omaha DoorDash driver loses $1,100 paycheck to scammers. That's a lot of
They're
money.
getting, that is a lot of money. They're getting better and better at this. And it's unfortunate. There's scams everywhere. And if drivers don't know about the scams, it's easy to fall for them. So what I find particularly incredible about this was this guy lost 1,100 bucks due like to one of these scammers. And you know what DoorDash did?
What?
They they gave him 1,100 bucks back.
Wow.
I know.
I know. I was reading the article and they actually played this on the news today. And this was after we had actually already chosen this article. And they were like, that was the biggest thing about the news. And I'm like, wow, huh? Go DoorDash for actually paying someone back their money. I've never heard of a DoorDash driver actually being scammed getting their money back.
Yeah, neither have I. This is the first time. So, and a matter of fact, like, if you get deactivated, chances are they're going to keep your money. So if like the fact that somebody else took their money, I'm blown away that they gave it back.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed by it. But I guess my whole entire thing with this, and I feel like a lot of us have covered this in the past, is man, these scammers, they're getting good. But from a driver's perspective, guys, be careful. There's so many things you can do to protect yourselves. But the main thing is man, if DoorDash calls, first of all, DoorDash hardly ever calls you, but never give out your information or any person.
Mm.
They will never ask you for passcodes or anything like that. So keep your personal information secured and don't give it out to anybody.
So never click any links either. They can do something called session hijacking. So if you click on the wrong link, they're already in. So be exceedingly careful. Like Kim said, support will never call you, and oftentimes these are people who just want to steal your hard-earned money. I actually had this almost happen to me back in the Postmates days, and they had actually gotten into my Postmates account and stole. Well, they changed my banking information is basically what they did, but they only would have gotten away with like $14 because Postmates sucked and I hated them.
Oh, tell me how you really feel about that. No, I'm just kidding. But when I was reading and also listening to the article and, reading it, and the one thing that, and I never tell anybody what to do with their money, but for me, I personally have learned through the years, like, even if it's not the Dasher Direct card, or if you have the Uber One card, or whatever you use, I personally cash out every day. Like, I never let my money accumulate throughout the entire week. So that way, if someone, God forbid, does hack into my account, they're not getting anything more than like a day's worth of work out of my account.
Yeah, for sure. I would rather personally cash out every single day and take the hit with the fees than risk either getting deactivated and not getting my money, or having some hacker somewhere make off with it. I'd rather take the hit. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
get a lot of people saying that my mic is too quiet. Let me go ahead and move us on to the next slide here while I adjust this.
You got it. Okay, so we're going to move right into our next segment, which is hot off the press. This is actually going to be a lot of what's happening in the news lately and what's kind of going on in food delivery, or even we're going to put in sometimes a couple of Spark articles, some Instacart, and whatever else kind of falls into this. So the next one is an incorrect overpayment was made to your account through Uber Eats. And I know this came to you, but I've seen other people post a couple of these similar things on Reddit and Facebook this week. So why don't you go over it?
Yeah. So essentially, what's happened is the mic better, by the way?
I hear you fine.
Okay. All right. Too many people in the chat are saying it's quiet. So, so essentially, what happened was Uber Eats drivers were given offers, completed the orders, and then sometime later got emails saying that Uber was going to deduct money from their driving earnings to make up for a system glitch where supposedly drivers were double paid.
That's rough. Like, if you were paid something, and I want to know, I'll be honest, and I know we don't have the answers to this. I would like to know if anybody had like the screenshot of what like initial offers were and what their payouts were, to see if there was a difference. If they got, I'm making this up, like $11 as an offer screen, and they got paid $11 and then they took away their money, like, to me, that's something a little fishy going on.
Yeah. So here's where we start to go on the tirade. I guess I have a couple questions first. So I spoke with a couple of people about this, and I couldn't seem to get a solid answer. So, for example, if that offer came through at, say, $10 and they paid you $10, but it was only supposed to pay you $5, then in that case, that's bullshit, and they need to be honoring those payments to those drivers. However, if it came through at $10, the offer, and then they paid the drivers 20, then I think that's a little bit of a different story. But I think that there's already too much mistrust to begin with when it comes to all of the gig apps, really. So when drivers start seeing money being deducted from their accounts, right? Like, I think it's kind of natural to get a little suspicious. So I didn't personally run into this. I did quite a bit of Uber during the time of this issue, and I didn't personally run into it. So I don't know if it was select markets or a specific order type that triggered it, and nobody seemed to know, and nobody had the answers either. Uber didn't seem to give a satisfactory reason on how this happened.
The one thing I don't agree with this on is if someone's taking away my money, I want to know where it's coming from, how it's coming from. When I looked at this email, like, it doesn't do a very good job of doing any of that. They don't even tell you on a specific day. Like, it just tells you like a time frame. It doesn't tell you on this day this happened. Like, there's no breakdown, so I know where my money is coming. I think we can all agree that money is very personable. That's why we're doing what we do. So when someone takes away money we've already earned, like, that's a pretty hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think personally, I think that the good faith thing to do would have been to let the drivers keep it. It was clearly their mistake, and it's not like the drivers knew that something was janky and went and exploited it, right? Like, we found out way later.
Yeah. And it's funny because I've heard not just even Uber Eats, like even DoorDash, like a lot of the times they'll like have those emails that say the opposite way. Oh, there was a glitch. We missed $20, we missed whatever dollars, and it's added to your account. I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a company actually take away money unless, I mean, DoorDash actually did have like that really big glitch. What was it, like over a year ago, where they overcredited people's accounts? But I think that was over a year ago. But anyway, I've usually seen people add, not actually take away from accounts.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's always a good idea. Somebody in the chat just said it a minute ago. It's always a good idea to screenshot your orders so you know what you were supposed to be paid. That way, if they deduct money, right? If they showed you the amount and you were paid that amount, and then later they were like, oh, it wasn't supposed to be that amount, you can be like, well, this is the amount that I agreed to when I did the order.
Agreed. Okay, so we're gonna keep on moving.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one. So this I actually kind of find amusing. So a DoorDash driver refuses to walk up 9 flights of stairs after only getting $1 tip. So
Oh,
this is what happened. So a DoorDash driver, I can't remember if it actually showed in the article what the full payout was, except that they got $1 tip for the order. They went to go do a delivery. It was a high-rise apartment complex, and the elevator was out. And in order to complete the delivery, they would have had to climb 9 flights of stairs. They were in contact with the customer. They asked the customer to come downstairs. Customer refused to come downstairs. And the battle between customer and DoorDash driver began. But their biggest gripe is, I'm not going up 9 flights of stairs for a $1 tip. So what are your thoughts?
This is a tough one for me. I mean, they did agree to do the work, but at the same time, I mean, a $1 tip is insulting. I guess my question is more towards the driver. Like, why would you have taken that? That's a ridiculous order. I mean, what was it? 9 cases? No. How many cases of water was it? Do we know?
I don't remember it saying cases of water. I can't remember what it was saying about cases of water.
I thought it was cases of water.
If it's cases of water, I'd be like, you're out of luck, because my 5'0" self and 115-pound can't carry up cases of water 9 flights of stairs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the kind of person who thinks $1 tip is never not insulting. So, I mean, I wouldn't have found myself in the position where I had to do that, or had to choose or whatever. But I probably would have left it in the lobby, taking a picture.
First of all, I know me. I wouldn't have, knowing if I knew the payout was $1 tip, because with DoorDash you can probably guess if it's in my area $275 base pay, it comes in $3.75, and you get a $1 tip. You kind of know what the $1 tip is at that point. I wouldn't have taken the order, period. That's just me. Like, there's no way I would have probably taken a 1 tip order if I knew it was a $1 tip order.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of, That's kind of a tough one in my eyes because we're agreeing to do the job, right? But oftentimes we know our market well enough that we think we have enough information, and then you've got something that goes sideways like that, and all of a sudden it completely changes it. So I've got a friend and fellow driver in my market who um, she uses this trick with this specific apartment building, and she will get to this drop off, and the doors, the buzzer on the door frequently doesn't work. Like you'll hear the buzzing sound and then it just won't unlock. So depending on what it is that the customer ordered, if it was heavy, she'll just tell the customer, like she'll call them back, hey, it's broken, it's not letting me in again, without even actually like trying the door. So it's kind of like a genius little hack because all of the residents also know that it's an issue in that building, but she uses it to her advantage. But something like that, I view a dollar tip as a slap in the face. And I'm sorry, I'm not. No, 9 flights of stairs, forget it.
Yeah, I'm all about customer service, but I feel like this is kind of going beyond that customer service. I mean, I remember, and I think I told you this the other day, I remember I did a Spark order and it was actually 2 cases of like the 40 packs of water. I'm like, not that big of a deal. And I knew it was going to an apartment. But I'm like, I can do this. I'm pretty strong. I've done 2 cases of water before. And the notes on the customer says, my sons will be down to help you carry the cases of water. So the customer knew she was actually ordering cases of water. So I'm like, okay, her sons will come down. It can't be that bad. I get to the apartment and the sons actually come downstairs. One was 5 and one was 9. I was going to make a
Oof.
5-year-old and a 9-year-old carry up cases of water. So I ended up doing the cases of water up 3 flights of stairs. But man, it was rough. So I can't imagine 9 flights of stairs.
Yeah, no, that's not going to be a thing.
Just
So
real quick.
I
So
don't know.
I'm going to say these were some of the comments on that article. So I'm a dasher and I wouldn't go. He or she was nice to accept the order with the $1 tip. I wouldn't. And then it looks like this one is next is the customer. If you accept the order, then yes, you should. But dashers won't and complain and will complain about tipping on social media. I feel like there's always a lot of, going back and forth between customers
Yeah,
and drivers.
yeah, it turns into Fight Club between drivers and customers frequently. Things evolve so fast when the subject of tipping comes up, and it, it's the customers think that we're entitled for just wanting to make a respectable living, right? And we're the bad guys for declining bad orders, non-tipped orders, orders that are 50 cents a mile, right? But we're the bad guys because we want to make a reasonable living.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, speaking of respectable living, so the CEO of, ooh, is that going up? Bear with me. The CEO of GrubHub is stepping down. When reading this, he is going to be there until May 1st, and then he will be leaving GrubHub. And when I was actually reading the article, they actually are taking the Skip the Dishes CEO and putting them in place of the CEO of GrubHub. So the CEO has been with the company of GrubHub for 11 years and has been CEO for the past 2 years. So, good thing or a bad thing? What do you think?
So I've got some mixed opinions on this. Adam DeWitt did a really good job with GrubHub, in my opinion, prior to Just Eat taking over. GrubHub used to be my main app, and when Just Eat took over, my base pay in my market, I shouldn't say my base pay, the minimum order value in my market went from it was $9 slowly down to $4. So prior to Just Eat, I would say that this is probably a bad move, but I, I've got some mixed feelings on this. If they bring in somebody who's more like DoorDash esque, I think it's probably a horrible move. But if they bring in somebody who's more along the policies of like Uber Eats and stuff like that, I think it's probably a very good move.
Yeah, my concern, and we all know, Uber Eats, wow, Grubhub has been, put for sale a couple of times right now. It's very up and down whether they're still going to be around in the future. I know I personally have worked for companies before where CEOs or even presidents have left because they already see writings on the wall and they kind of know some inside information. So, is he trying to tell us something we don't know?
And that's an interesting theory too. You, I mean, as the CEO, obviously you're going to know all of the inner workings of the business, and for you to like walk away after that long when the company is already struggling, like they're getting ready to file like Chapter 9 or something. Like they're getting ready to file bankruptcy or something. But yeah, I think that that's probably a really bad sign.
I mean, in the article, they were really boosting, like they usually do with Grubhub, that, he created the partnership with Amazon. And I don't know about you, but like the first week that the partnership with Grubhub, like with Amazon, I'm like, ooh, this is fantastic. I'm getting Grubhub orders again, and they're really good. And it lasted a week.
Yeah, so they didn't really advertise that too much, actually. And I didn't really notice much of an uptick in my market. And I didn't see any particularly good orders either. It was just kind of, the average typical Grubhub order you'd see, just with maybe a couple more per day. But, it rapidly went back to the one order, two orders a day that, I'm used to seeing on Grubhub.
I'm like, wow, you get 1 to 2 orders a day. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You're lucky. I feel like with
Yeah.
Grubhub, I love to hate it. I feel like I love it when you get some of those really good orders that come in. I feel like it's like my third app that I use. Like I'll turn it on if like really nothing's going on and hope and pray that I get one of those good Grubhub orders that somewhat still exist. And then I'll go back to like my normally scheduled program with, the rest of the food delivery. So to me, I just feel like, Grubhub is just kind of keeps going down, and looks like the CEO decided to bail ship at some point too.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if we saw Grubhub in their current capacity in 2 years' time. They're not going to survive. And honestly, the Amazon deal was a lifeline to them. And it just, the drivers kind of all agree here. At least, the ones I've spoken to, it hasn't really made much of a difference.
Yeah.
So I can't
Okay.
see that
So
Amazon's going to keep them around.
yeah, it seemed, and I was reading, I never realized their deal that they actually had with Amazon. We always knew that Amazon was getting something out of it, but this article actually said that the biggest thing was the Amazon partnership receives 2% of Grubhub's fully diluted equity as part of the deal. So they definitely did get something out of this partnership that I don't think I realized. I mean, I realized the amount until they put it in this article.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean,
speaking,
Amazon isn't going to do something that they're not going to get something out of.
yeah. So speaking of our next one and getting something out of something, so DoorDash says a discovery request in a Denver car crash suit will cost them $159 million.
So here's what happened with that. A DoorDash driver ran a stop sign and unfortunately hit somebody on a motorcycle. And this person that they hit ultimately had to have their leg amputated below the knee. So, I mean, definitely, no question, a horrifying experience for the person on the motorcycle. Uh, Now, Kim, is it worth $159 million to DoorDash?
That's a lot of money. There goes our base pay. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just speculating on that one. Um, but it's a lot of money that DoorDash would have to fork up. But they're saying that the $159 million is actually coming from basically the manpower behind it, besides what they're getting sued for, because the courts are actually requesting millions of documents to be handed over just for this one case. And why don't you tell them, because I know we were talking about this beforehand, why they need so many documents.
So I don't know why they need so many documents. It didn't really outline that clearly. I guess they're trying to prove that DoorDash created some sort of negligence or something in the driver that ultimately caused them to be involved in this accident. What I found interesting about this, though, is they are requesting, over the course of what was it, like 2 years? They're requesting 114 versions of the Dasher and the customer app. Because this is why the DoorDash app doesn't work. Because DoorDash has had 114 versions of it in 2 years. Rather than fixing everything and releasing it at once, they fix something, it breaks, and then they fix that and break something else. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, no, it's crazy to me that I guess you always realize, at least as a driver, by the amount of times that it actually goes down and it crashes while you're actually working, like how many times they actually update their app. When you see a number like this, you're like, holy, that is a lot of times that one app updates. And I know we were talking about this, that there's a different version for each one of our markets, and every single one of us has like a different version or a different feature. And I'm surprised they can actually keep up with the amount of tests that all these versions go through. No wonder why it crashes so darn often.
Yeah. And so to clarify what's going on here, it's not DoorDash being sued for $159 million because of this accident. It's DoorDash saying that them forking over these documents that the lawyers are requesting would cost them $159 million.
Yeah.
So essentially, they're saying it's gonna be something like, shoot, do you have this pulled up? Anyway, it's like millions of pages worth of documents, and it was something like 2 million pages or something, if memory serves me correctly.
Yeah.
And they said hundreds of thousands of man hours to go through everything, compile it. So, I mean, I am of the mindset that they don't need that. They probably just need the driver's data, that specific driver's data. They don't need 114 versions of the app, although I would love for that to get leaked and see the code. But they definitely don't need 114 versions of an app.
It's crazy. To me, it's just absolute. It's just crazy. But I hate to say all this, because and believe me, the driver is 100% wrong, because they ran a red light and they hit this poor guy on his motorcycle, crushing his leg. But this all stemmed because it was a DoorDash driver who ran a stop sign, who blamed DoorDash because he had time limits on when he had to get the food to, and that's what caused him to run the red light. So do you think our time limits actually are an excuse for us running red lights to somebody getting their food on time? I just look at safety, and nobody's safety or my own safety isn't worth getting food there as quickly as some of these timers are.
I'll tell you what, the next time I get pulled over for doing something stupid, I'll tell the cop, like, hey, sorry, I'm just running this DoorDash order and it's late, so let me go, deuces. And I'll report back on how well that worked.
Please let me know how you actually make out on that, because I want to know the cops' reaction. Actually get a dash cam so we can actually all see the recording, because that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, I think what's more likely in a case like that is I'd be calling you, like, Kim, I need you to bail me out of jail.
And I'd be like, good luck on that. No, I'm just kidding. You're like, thanks for having me back on my back there, Kim.
Yeah. So, of course, I mean, the apps definitely put time limits on us. I personally don't think in the majority of cases that they're unrealistic. I don't think that they're unreasonable in most markets. You are on the East Coast. You probably drive in a lot more traffic than I do. What is your thought?
I definitely drive in a lot of traffic, especially being in New Jersey. It's probably one of the most populated states in, if not but it's one of the most populated. So I just don't. I think the reason why I actually like Uber Eats so much, granted, they now do put your customers expecting their order by blank time. That wasn't there before, they put it now. But it's actually one of the reasons why I like Uber Eats, because there really isn't really time frames that you really go by.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just don't think anybody's safety is worth me rushing to get to someone's house. I feel like you know, drive like an old lady sometimes just because I'm too cautious, because I don't want to harm. I would say I trust my driving. I don't know what the next person next to me is doing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's like Sam said, contract violation is better than a car crash, and I agree. I agree. You know,
So
no timer is worth somebody's safety. I'm sorry.
yeah, I agree with that. But speaking of Uber, so we're going to go back to Uber for a half a second. So the next one, Uber Eats is to take down 5,000 duplicate menus in ghost kitchen crackdown. So I don't know about you. How many
Oh,
ghost kitchens do you have in your area?
I would say probably 40 or 50 at least.
That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, 40. I'd say 40 or 50. And there's one restaurant that has like 8 of them alone. So,
So
and they have, you know what? I'm going to go on a tirade. I don't like that restaurant. Go ahead before I go on a
now
tirade about this place.
I just want to give everybody kind of a background on this article. So they're identifying ghost kitchens as they're cracking down on menus basically that have duplicate menus like over and over again of the same restaurant. And what I found interesting was last year they on the platform they had 10,000 ghost kitchens. Fast forward a year later to right now, they have 40,000 ghost kitchens on their platform, which to me it is absolutely crazy. And they're saying in order to have a now menu on Uber Eats, which is why they're cracking down, is your menu has to be 60% different than other menus that are on the platform, and then a certain rating as well.
So my question is, do they have somebody sitting in some office somewhere that's going to go through and measure the scientifically precise unit of measurement for 60%? Or is this just going to be some algorithm that's going to work sometimes and screw some small businesses over?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I just know me. I'm just looking at a couple of people. They're saying like IHOP has 3 just in their area alone. I know me, like I have, God, even just I'm trying to even think of just regular Fridays. I think Fridays has 3 or 4 just in Fridays alone. So I don't know whether it's more geared towards, the mom and pop ghost kitchens or these like chain ghost kitchens that keep, duplicating the same things over and over.
So the ghost kitchens themselves don't bother me so much. What does piss me off is when the employees don't know that they have a ghost kitchen.
Mm.
So I don't know if you've ever seen this, but I've seen drivers go walking into, I'll use Buffalo Wild Wings as an example. I saw a driver go into Buffalo Wild Wings once and ask if he was at Wild Buffalo Burger or something, Buffalo Burger. I can't remember the name of it. And the person working behind the counter was like, "No, this is Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm sorry." And before I could like get his attention, he was already gone. Right? Like I was like, "Hey, bud, yeah, you're in the right place," and the employee just doesn't know. So I think what's more annoying than duplicate menus is when the staff doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
Because you've got inexperienced drivers that come in all the time, and they're like, "Hey, I'm picking up a I don't know. Say you walk into McDonald's, right? I'm picking up a Jim Bob Billy burger for, you know, whatever code. and you're going to confuse the hell out of them. They're not going to know what you're there for. It's. I think that ghost kitchens need more transparency, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, I kind of agree with this. Half the time, the ghost kitchens have the wrong GPS. I can't tell you how many times that this has happened to me as well. Even for regular, like major chain restaurants, like it'll actually, you have to pay attention to the notes because a lot of times they'll say it's in blank a restaurant, but the GPS is wrong on a lot of them. So the person is absolutely correct.
So yeah, so Lily, I've heard a lot of people say that, and fortunately, I don't have that issue in my market.
Oh,
Uh,
you're lucky.
yeah, but I have heard a lot of people say that. So the ghost kitchen thing is, I've got some mixed feelings about it. I don't have a problem with ghost kitchens or virtual restaurants, whatever you want to call them. But Kim, what I do have a problem with is Uber not giving drivers all of the upfront pickup and drop off information.
Good segue. So I agree. So there is definitely something going on. I hate to say again that I feel like this is again. So
We let's get the slide up there.
yep.
There we go. So, all right, this is what some drivers are reporting. Again, so the screenshot from 2022, the double, that one was actually Kim's order from last year, correct?
Yeah, it was. I actually went. I can't believe I actually found it, but it was actually last February, and it came through a couple of times, and I actually called it Uber jail because it was at the time. And I don't know, will you guys remember this? That you keep like if you kept declining over and over and over again, and it was like decline, decline, they would actually throw this at you and say, "Well, now here, take this," and at the time, I actually took that order because I really wanted to see what it was and what it did. And like I had good content out of it, which is why I did it. But it actually was a stacked order, which I'm like, why am I even doing this? And I was crazy for doing a stacked order out of it. But this was from February of last year.
Yeah. So if you guys can tell, there's two different versions up on the screen here, and it seems like depending on who you are, if you're being affected by the problem at all, and depending on who you are and where you are, you might have the issue on the left or the right where it's not even showing payment information. Or you might have the one in the middle, which is still showing payment information, but nothing else. Either way, here we go, Kim. Here comes my first rant of the series. All right, guys. Transparency is a huge issue within the gig economy, and it's not Uber executives that are getting out of their car in bad neighborhoods, sometimes in the middle of the night. It's us, right? We have every right to know where we're picking up and where we're dropping off. And of course, 100% of the pay, but that's not even the issue here. Like what if you're accepting an order from a restaurant that is known to take 30 minutes, right? That is going to eat into your profits substantially, right? And then to add insult to injury, you're driving that order into the ghetto. Come on now. No, that is absolutely unacceptable. So, Kim, thoughts before I get too mad?
No, it's all good. I think, and this is with like any, I feel like any app that we talk about, we as drivers we all want full transparency. That's that. How do you make a really good decision as an independent contractor if you don't have all the
Yes.
information in front of you? And when you see stuff like this, like it literally, to me, it gets me mad because you can't make any decisions when you see a screen like this. You don't know the restaurants. And if you know your area, you know your restaurants really well. You know if they're going to be late, you know if they're going to be on time. You can't tell by this on the screen. And if I remember correctly, yes, on the map, it actually showed you, the little dots, but how small are those little dots on the screen? They don't give you any information. from a woman's perspective, they can be sending you into neighborhoods that you do not want to go into. And for your own safety, to your point, that could be a really bad thing. So, and not only that, I want to know how much I want to get paid. Like, how much
So
are you paying me? There's nothing telling me how much as a contractor that I'm going into a contract with that I am actually getting paid.
So, to your point, right, there's no other general contractor who's going to accept a job without all of the information up front. Okay, I'm,
Mhm.
I'm a 6 foot something male, and there's areas of my market that I will not go to because I don't feel safe. Okay, they're few and far between, but they exist. This is bullshit. This is going to get somebody killed.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I thought that this actually went away, and at first, when this happened
So
in
did I.
2022, I thought it was glitches, but it just doesn't. It just didn't happen once. It actually happened a couple of times. That if you decline too much, this is actually what would happen. So I would say it's a glitch, but it was happening way too frequently for it to be at the time a glitch. The one on the right, I know we were doing a lot of research on this in like Reddit and
Yep.
also Facebook, and it was happening a lot. So I felt like we got past this and we're like just repeating ourselves all over again.
It's like, okay, I'm going to turn around and walk away and just pretend like it didn't happen. And then they're like, psych. And they like turn around, slap us in the face all over again. It's ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
Lily made an interesting point. Like, what if you accept one of those and you end up with, a Walmart order, right? Like that's the pickup horror story is Walmart, of course. But, when this happened last year, drivers started calling Uber, and support's response to this was, it's a glitch. We know it's happening. It's a glitch. Chill out. We'll get it fixed. And then it didn't. And then they started introducing this documentation to the affected drivers saying, yeah, you need to accept 7 out of 10 orders to see upfront information.
That's crazy.
So I think that we're probably gearing up to see something similar again.
I have a better question. Do you think Uber Eats is trying to do stuff like DoorDash is doing because they're seeing that DoorDash is trying to raise drivers' acceptance rates, and now they're testing out stuff to emulate some of the things that DoorDash is trying to do?
I hadn't actually considered that, but that's an interesting theory and a scary one. So, I mean, yeah, it's possible. When you've got one app that does something, it's usually not long before the other tries to emulate it in some way, shape, or form.
It's good.
So, yeah,
I think transparency, no matter what app, is. I'm a fighter for transparency. I'm a firm believer in it, and I just don't think it's fair. And I don't think that we can make the best decisions unless we know the fare and the amount that we're actually seeing up front. So to me, transparency is just everything. And this has literally zero transparency except 3 minutes away.
Yeah. And you know what? I would encourage anybody who gets one of those orders and who accepts it to call support and be like, yo, all of the information right now or unassign me. I don't think that that's unreasonable.
Yeah, unless if these keep, I'll say it depends. For me, I did it and it went away, but then like the next day, it did the same thing. So for me, decline, just decline. Like I said, I did mine just out of kind of research for like my own content and just to see what would happen. But if I ever got that again, I'd be like, there's no way I'm doing this.
There's always stories about a driver getting shot or carjacked or mugged or something like that, right? And with this is something that could put us into one of those areas where it makes it far more likely that that's going to be our name in the news next time.
Yeah, I wonder if in like their minds are like, well, we do have that new safety feature that'll save them. No,
Yeah, just call ADT. It'll be okay.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're definitely on the same page here. I don't think that there's a single driver out there who can argue that this is a good thing. And and this is why this is why I'm such a proponent of apps like Para, right? They they tr- they just give you more transparency, and they give you the transparency that we deserve and the apps refuse to give us. So,
Yeah.
that's not being
With
sponsored. That's
Yeah, I
just
will say with Para, you can at least see the restaurants and you can see the addresses, so you actually know where you're going to. So it really does help. Like
yeah,
apps like even driver's utility helper, that helps with the stuff like this too. If from like the DoorDash perspective, you have Para for the Uber Eats perspective. So there are definitely things that actually help drivers to make better decisions.
yeah, absolutely. So I feel like that segment was it got a little hot and kind of heated. So I'd like to introduce you guys to a segment that we are calling "What the Funny," and this is a segment all about things that are in the news related to last mile delivery for a little bit of a laugh, the lighter side of things. And after that tirade that I just went on, I think we could use that. So, uh, Kim, how would you react if you had a 31 cheeseburger show up that you did not order?
I feel like you have the wrong house.
So, all right. So this mom left her phone unlocked, and her toddler grabs the phone and orders 31 cheeseburgers from McDonald's. So obviously the parents were a good sport here because they posed the kid looking happy, with a bunch of burgers, and it's like a kumbaya picture, and ha ha ha, this was great. So I'm assuming the kid isn't like grounded, but it makes for a fun, lighthearted story. Um, the thing I liked the most about this was rather than fighting for a refund or something like that, the mom decided to give away most of this food, and I think didn't she actually like post about it online to have people show up?
Yeah, she posted it on Facebook to a Facebook group, and a pregnant woman came and grabbed, I think, like 7 or 8 of them. And then there was a mom who had a large family. I think she grabbed like 17 or 18 of them, and then the rest went to her neighborhood.
Yeah. So I mean, super charitable in the end. Ordering 31. I'm trying to think of this. To order 31 burgers, right? Would probably have cost probably close to $100, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 91 or $92. So you were close.
Yeah. So I guess my question is did the toddler tip?
That is a good question. I would be really impressed if they did. Better yet,
Right.
if they didn't, why did the driver take the order?
Exactly. So these are the things we need to know. And this is what the mainstream media is not asking. Did the toddler tip? This is the important stuff, people. But a wholesome story, the kid obviously, was no worse for the wear. Sitting there looking happy that he's got his McDonald's, and, people were fed. Hopefully the driver made out okay on that order. Just an all around good, happy story. So now, Kim, let me ask you this. Do you think that had the mom realized in time that her kid ordered 31 burgers, that she would have been charged a $20 cancellation fee?
Oh, good question, because those cancellation fees can get pretty pricey if you cancel your order before your food gets there.
Well, imagine that. We have an example. So, this lady, okay, actually, you know what, Kim? I'm going to let you take over on this one.
So imagine you order DoorDash from IHOP of all places, and you're waiting for your order, and you get a call from your driver, ring ring, and your driver informs you that your order is being delayed because the chef cut off his finger.
So, this is what this lady claimed happened. The article said that drivers, accepted the order, unassigned it. They showed up at the restaurant, disappeared, so on and so forth. And supposedly, this driver saw ambulances and stuff like that in the vicinity of the restaurant. And so when he went to go and scope out the order, he supposedly learned that the chef cut off his finger. And this woman, assuming it's true, right? Like everybody is going to want a refund for that, right? Like I'm not going to eat something knowing that the person who was just cooking my meal sliced their finger open or off. So this person is trying to claim that Uber charged her a $20 cancellation fee that they refused to waive. Kim, did it happen?
So this was on TikTok, and I feel like with TikTok, you have to take things with a grain of salt. I don't know whether it happened or it didn't happen, but what I could see happening is a customer calling customer service and even DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever platform, and they get a hold of somebody and they go through reading a script and they're so scripted that they really don't understand what exactly is happening, and the customers trying to tell them, no, this is exactly what's happening, and like they're only reading their policies from a script. Well, our policy states that you're going to get a $20 cancellation fee. And it kind of goes around in circle because we all know how some of those support calls go. So I could see that happening.
So I hadn't considered that perspective, and it's a valid point, honestly. I think that the scripting is to the point where it's maddening, right? Like you just want like a common sense, logical answer. And instead you get some hoopla about how sorry they are and how grateful they are that you're a driver. And, meanwhile, they waste 30, 45 seconds talking about not your issue. And you're just getting, more frustrated as time goes on. So, I mean, it's possible that, she ran into a copy and paste loop with support. But here is where I take issue with this. The only screenshot that she had was of Uber Eats refund policy. She didn't have any screenshot of the order, any screenshot of the conversation with the driver, and I don't know if it was actually a call or a text from the driver. So, but the only thing she had a screenshot of was the refund policy. So it doesn't really give much credence, in my opinion, to her validity, the story's validity. But I mean, that's just my perspective.
Yeah, no, it's totally valid. Um, you know, I as a driver though, if you're at a restaurant and you see that you're not getting your order because your finger is cut off, yeah, most people would be just like, yeah, just cancel the order and move on. I'm special. I would probably call support and say, hey, can you remove this order? Like, get it canceled their end so like it doesn't hit my cancellation rate. And not only that, but then the
Yeah.
customer doesn't get hit because the cancel comes from DoorDash, not from the driver or the customer. At least that's just me as a driver. That's what I would do if I were there.
Yeah, so I think in a case like that, I probably would just call support as well. If I, I've got two modes: either I'm trying to make money quickly, so unassign and buy, or I don't want the next driver to run into this problem either. In which case, I'll call. And admittedly, I've done both. So yes, I've been that driver. And we all have. Quit judging me.
I'll judge away.
Uh, so I think in a case like that, yeah, I think I would probably call support just for sanitary reasons, right? Like, what if this person finds part of the chef's finger in their food, right?
Or their
Like something.
fingernail. Can you imagine that? If you're like, you're going through your food and like you find like a fingernail. Ew.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's
The
yeah.
ones I
So
have now.
ah, yeah. So again, I mean, if it happened, yeah, it's possible she just ran into the support copy and paste loop, but I it's TikTok. I'm skeptical that it even happened. So
It's a very good possibility.
yeah, and I mean, especially the fact that the article said that she had escalated this, and Uber was it was Uber, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Uber.
Okay. Yeah, and that Uber was, despite escalating it, Uber was still going to have the charge stand. And you hit a point with support after escalating where you start to get people who are not scripted
Yeah.
and who actually are comprehending what the issue is. So I find it hard to believe that I, with how fast these companies are to dish out refunds, I, something isn't ringing true. Either that, or she's had a crazy amount of adjustments,
That's a good possibility too.
and it just got fed up, and they're like, no soup for you.
Yeah, I just can't imagine them not taking care of their customer for something like that, because that does not leave a very good impression on the restaurant or even Uber Eats. But if I'm trying to think, if that happened to me, like I wouldn't be settling for, oh well, I'm out $20. I'd be like, no, get me a supervisor. I want my $20 back. Like I know me, like I would be adamant, because at that point it would be the purpose and the whole principle behind it more than the $20. I'm like, no, you're gonna give me my $20 and you're gonna give it to me today.
Yeah, no, I get ignorant when it comes to support and giving me the money that I'm owed. So, like, I'm the petty guy who will spend an hour on the phone over $5. Like, if it's my money, it is my money, and I am going to get my money. Damn it.
Yeah.
So
we can. I was tip baited, and I was on the phone for, I can't tell you how long, because it was a pretty large tip bait. I'm like, we can talk about tip dating, a whole new subject, a whole other episode. But I'm like, nope, I want my money, and I want it now.
did you get it?
Yes, I did. I'm like, I wasn't settling for it. I'm like, I
Nice.
don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you talk to a supervisor in the payments
Yeah,
department?
I had to go through a supervisor. I actually went through 6 different people, and then I finally got to it was like it's like they knew what I was talking about, but a couple of them played stupid, like they didn't know what I was talking about. And then like they're like, okay, well, we probably can't pass this girl off anymore. And like, no, just give me a supervisor on the phone, and I want to speak to them now. And that it was on a shop and deliver. And I hate to say, it's one thing to have food tip baiting, because you get angry enough as it is that someone is, we can, like I said, we can talk about tip baiting. I can go a whole rant about tip baiting, but
Oh yeah.
shopping, like you're doing it was like someone's shopping. I shopped for 22 items. It was someone's shopping order, and it was a good order. It was like $36. I wasn't going to let $36 go because someone was not nice, not kind, and took away the tip. And I'm like, no.
So how much did you end up actually getting tip baited? Like, what was the total amount that you were out?
$8.
8? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I would have. So $8. I would have been on the phone for. Yeah.
I was on the phone for 45 minutes. It literally took them probably about a half hour to just get me to a supervisor, and then 15 minutes for the supervisor to figure out how to correct the issue.
Yeah. Like I said, I am willing to get ignorant when it comes to my money. If I did the work for the specified amount, they're going to pay me the specified amount. So yeah. So we have one final slide we want to run past you guys. This is about a driver who, from the looks of it, was essentially being asked to stalk somebody for the person ordering the food. So, Kim, if you want to read that off for us, we can.
I don't have a slide for that, so we're just going to have to go off.
We don't have a slide for it?
No.
We don't have a slide 15? Okay.
So,
okay.
It was actually. Sorry, go ahead.
I can read this off real quick. So the instructions are: leave it at the door, and then it says you can throw it away or keep the chocolate. Can you just check to see if a silver Cadillac car is parked in the parking lot, please? So I would take that to mean, they think somebody's cheating or they're stalking somebody. What do you think?
I'm like, what are we, private investigators now? So we're now delivery drivers dash private investigators, and we have to do some detective work to find out if somebody's car is in the driveway. I guess the bigger question is if you got that, what would you do?
Well, yeah, I'm curious how long before we're bounty hunters or something. I would not do it. I They can go check themselves. I'm not their. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a private eye. I'm probably not even getting paid well enough to text you back. So no, I'm not about to stalk somebody. I'm sorry. What about you?
Yeah. Uh, It's a no. I'm a drama-free girl, like, the less drama, the better, so I'm there to make money, so let me drop it off, get out, and I would just proceed with delivery, just literally drop it at the door and take my picture and walk away. I'm not doing someone's detective work through a DoorDash or Uber Eats app, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I was actually having a conversation last night with Sergio, and he told me that this used to happen at with rideshare as well. And somebody would order a ride to like a cheating partner, and then see if they'd like actually come out and take the ride. So I've been asked for some pretty interesting things on in the special instructions, but I've never been asked to stalk somebody. And I guess for this one, I look at it from the perspective of what if it was somebody trying to do that to me? Like how would I appreciate it if the driver just was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like with this logic, we could have somebody ask us to do just about anything, and in their minds, because they're paying us, we're going to do it, right? And that's not the precedent we want to set.
Yeah, I to me, it's just not something that we should.
Okay, so I think you're muted again.
Sorry, I don't think it's something that we should have to deal with as a driver. I feel like though that people do pranks all the time, a lot on drivers, and so you see some wacky notes out there, and uh, no. It's just not something that I would really ever even do or contemplate. I mean, I've had kids before leave notes, leave at the mailbox because I don't want my parents to know I'm ordering this. That's a lot of stuff that like I get around my area just because kids just don't want their parents know that they're spending money on DoorDash or Uber Eats. I think I saw one once where it was pound on the door and say you're the cops. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to get shot at because you're telling me that I'm pounding on the door and asking for cops. It's not going to happen. So,
One of my favorite delivery instructions ever was somebody who said, "Bang on the door like you're the cops," and I thought that one was clever. So I did. Chris, there's your funny the funny face you were asking for. Just like pause the segment and that goofy face I just made. There you go.
that should be the thumbnail right there.
That'll be the thumbnail. Just something. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, special instructions can get a little funky. Customers ask for weird stuff all the time. And I mean, ultimately, it's up to us whether it's within our comfort zone. But I personally think we as drivers should not ever set the precedent that we are like errand people, right? Like errand boys or errand girls in Kim's case, right? And like I've had people ask me to get them like a pack of smokes and stuff like that, and I'm not going to do it. So, uh, Kim, where do you draw the line with special instructions?
If it's a reasonable, like, drop it off at the mailbox because I don't like my parents, okay, it's just a matter. And they actually have it in the notes. So if DoorDash questions where it's at, well, the customer said leave it at their mailbox. So,
Yeah.
Stuff like that, like, I don't mind doing if it's, within reason and it's not going to get me in trouble or harmed in any single way. I don't do pranks just because I'm a mom. I no, I don't have time for
We've
pranks.
got
I just want to make my
we've got
money and
kids
go
to come home
home.
to.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I just sometimes things just get taken way too far and out of context and control. And I'm here to deliver your food. That's my job.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree. So, I, again, ultimately, guys, it's up to you if you choose to comply with these special requests. But at the end of the day, just make sure you're not going to get yourself hurt, somebody else hurt, break the law. And I
I'll say
guess that's
this:
pretty much.
don't fall also, because this has happened to me before. Is a lot of times you might get messages that say, "Hey, I need." I'm making this something up, something across the street from where you're picking up at the corner store, and it could be cigarettes. Or, "Hey, can you go and grab me?" I'm making this up, like a bottle of wine. It's right next door, and you just have to be like, I never ever do stuff like that, just because it could lead to legal ramifications down the
Of
road.
course.
And it could be a lot of times kids trying to get stuff illegally that they're not supposed to get. So be cautious about the stuff that you are doing, because if you're doing underage stuff, that can lead to a whole different ball game altogether. And one time somebody had actually was texting me. I was at McDonald's and they wanted me to go to the corner gas station, and they wanted me to buy stuff for for I guess their e-cigarettes. I don't even know what it was at that time. And I said, unfortunately, I can't do that. It's against DoorDash policy. And they're like, well, I'll transfer X amount of dollars right now. And not this is gonna sound like they were stupid. They actually gave me $20, and it popped up in DoorDash that they gave me extra $20. And I said, nope, sorry, I can't do it. It's against DoorDash policy. And they were out the $20 because they couldn't get it back because they had already paid the $20.
Well, it sounds like you made out. So can
I
we pop
did,
up?
but they didn't.
Yeah, right. Can we pop up Ruby Q Public's most recent comment here?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Can we pop up Ruby Q Public's most recent comment?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Zach and Kim, have you seen the address changes on DoorDash after you pick up and are on the way? Okay, so I have actually gotten to the drop off a few times, and then the address has gotten changed. I think I've had it changed while I was driving, but it was before I had the order picked up. Kim, have you had that happen when you get to?
I've had it
Uh,
happen a couple of times, actually. It just depends. Whenever that happens, I call DoorDash immediately,
mhm,
support immediately, because they usually tell you what to do. And a lot of times they'll tell you it's outside of your delivery zone, and they tell you not to go, and you'll still get compensated for the order because you already picked up the order. If you,
and
the
you get
one
to eat the
time
food.
and you get the food too. The one time I was willing to do it because it was part of a large order program and it was a big order. And the guy's like, oh my God, I put my house address, not the business address. And I said, how much longer is it? And he's just like, 5 more miles. And I'm like, oh, but I'm
How
thinking
much
it's
was it?
really so this is I'll get to that because this is part of why I was doing it. So it was $179 subtotal, and it was from a local Chinese restaurant. So I had called support and I said, "Hey, this is the new address. It will be outside of my zone, but I was very specific. I am willing to drive it because I knew it was going to be a pretty decent payout. So I said, I'm willing to drive it. And she goes, okay. And this is another thing why you want to call support, is because they track your GPS and you want them to know where you're going so it doesn't look like you're not going where you're supposed to be going. But anyway, digressing. So they actually said, go ahead, proceed. But because you're going outside of your zone, they actually paid me half of what the total order was. And I didn't know what it was at that time. So I was messaging the customer saying, I'm coming. They're allowing me to come. God, can you imagine if I had all that Chinese food and I didn't know what to do with it? Anyway, besides the point. So the guy said, I'll give you $50 cash from us for going the extra mile. So the payout itself was a $50, I think it was like $54 payout. DoorDash gave me half of that for compensation for going the extra miles. And then the customer gave me an additional $50 in cash for doing it. So it was well worth. If
So,
I wouldn't recommend doing that all the time, only if you know that the payout is going to be worth what you're trying to put into it. Other than that, I would have said, no, I'm not going.
so just to clarify, what you're saying is you got the full pay plus half pay, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I've had this happen where they were trying to order way out of the delivery area, and it just wasn't worth it. And the thing that pissed me off about this was I had tried to communicate with this customer prior to leaving the restaurant, and they let me drive all the way across town just to tell me once I got there that, oh, actually, you need to, drive it 30 minutes that way. I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
So
You just have to be careful. Like, I hate to say, you need to know your area. You kind of need to know, if you know your area and you know how DoorDash works, you kind of know how the payouts work. So you
yeah.
kind of need to make the best decisions. There have been many times I'm like, nope, not happening. And, it's no.
Can we put Thomas's comment up from 9:08 p.m. your time?
9:08. Hold on.
Kim's in control of the comments here, so I figured that this would be a good thing to talk about. Would you deliver alcohol to a customer who was drunk when you got there?
No.
So yeah, I don't do alcohol deliveries ever. I view them as a liability. There are states that do frequent compliance checks, and you just never know, right? Like, you could get handed an ID that looks kind of like the person but might not, like maybe they put on a little bit of weight, or maybe they lost 50 pounds, right? Like, maybe they just didn't age gracefully. You never really know, and I just think it's too much liability, so I personally avoid them like the plague. Back when I did Instacart, I did one order because it was like 2 bottles of wine. And I figured I couldn't really get myself in trouble with 2 bottles of wine going to a fancy part of town. And the only other time I had accepted an order with alcohol in it, it was one item. I can't remember what they ordered. I want to say it was like one of those like bubbly, boozy water things. And it was being delivered to probably one of the nicer hotels in the city. And so I'm like, you know what? I mean, they're just getting a 6-pack of this. Like, I'm not going to have any problems here. And of course, they were out of the one item that they ordered. So I took that as the universe's sign to just keep avoiding them. And I haven't touched them since.
Yeah, alcohol delivery actually just came to New Jersey like a couple months ago. So
Oh, really?
yeah, we're kind of strict. We're kind of strict. I don't know how to describe that. Like, we don't even have alcohol in like supermarkets. Like, I know if I go like to like Disney World, like I go into a supermarket, I'm like, oh, there's alcohol in supermarkets, because I think it's like super cool that you got, like, a lot of states have alcohol in supermarkets. New Jersey
You can't
doesn't.
even get
So
beer or wine?
now you have to actually go to a liquor store in New Jersey
Yeah,
to get
I'm not
beer or
visiting.
wine.
Sorry, Kim.
It's all good, but like like we don't do alcohol delivery until, like I said, a couple months ago. So I personally have not done it. I'm not a big fan of that. Um, Delivering it, just because safety reasons. Like, I just don't feel comfortable. To me, too much liability. But I know drivers who make tons of money doing them and love doing them. So I feel like it's either you love to do it or you choose not to do it. But I know a lot of drivers who make lots of money on alcohol deliveries.
Yeah, that's kind of along the lines of what RideShare dude just said. How many alcohol deliveries do you really get? Most tip well. So in my market, I don't see a ton of them. I'm not opted in on DoorDash. For a long time, they were just sending them to me anyway, but I'm not opted in. It was not worth the $20. So Uh, Prior to them requiring that training, I used to see them probably 10 times a day when I was out driving, and I would decline every one of them. Having said that, yes, frequently those would be some of the higher paying orders. So I would see them for, 10, $12, going 5 miles or, 5 miles or less. But I just avoid alcohol deliveries.
Yeah. Like I said, your own preference. If they're making you money, go make your money. For me, it's just not for me. Safety reasons and for liability, I'm just not comfortable doing them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Now, you never know when you're going to have somebody who's just belligerent and already tore up when you get there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it'll probably be fine, but I'm the kind of person who doesn't like to take unnecessary risk. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So,
Zach, this is it. We got through.
I,
We got through it.
we did. We did. So, I think that this is probably a natural stopping point, and I love that we were able to answer some questions here at the end. So, I want to thank each and every one of you so much for being a part of the first ever episode of Money Hungry.
So, a big thanks to the RideShare team, Harry Campbell, as well, for putting this show together and really being here for us and being wonderful. The whole entire team, Chris, Sergio, all the contributors here. So, a big shout out to everybody with RSG as well. And we will be back next Wednesday. So, hopefully, you guys come next Wednesday. Join us. We're going to have even more news and stories and a whole bunch of shenanigans. Probably that DoorDash, Uber Eats, Spark shipped. Any one of those throws at us in the next week as well. So thank you guys so much for being here today.
Thank you for being with us. You all have a fantastic and profitable week. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.